Sorry, I was still muted. Hello, friends. Welcome back. I'm going to take a deep breath here. I feel spirit moving through me very strongly, so I'm really hot. Going to relax into this. I welcome you all to also take a deep breath and settle in. So, in my last video, I touched briefly upon some of the things that I've seen and the messages that are coming through in our sessions. And I just ask that we all put our belief systems, our ideas and thoughts about reality just to the side for a moment. And I'm kind of making this video as a prologue to my next video, which I did with Karen, on the secret Gospel of John, where Jesus describes the creation of the higher realms and also the creation of the lower realms, including Earth. And there's a really interesting information in there for everyone. Now, there's this belief that we cycle through these physical lives in order to gain wisdom and experience and expand our soul through physicality and the experiences that we have here. And I've been questioning that lately because all of my sessions with clients, my own sessions included, are helping me put the pieces together, because what it seems like is, and we've talked about this before, like I have these beautiful, incredibly beautiful and expansive souls that are attracted to me for sessions, for healing. And all of them, these beautiful, expansive souls, were born into families. I won't say all, I'll say most. Most were born into families that have been incredibly traumatic for them, including my own. Like I loved my parents, and 10 years ago I would have told you that my childhood was great, but it really wasn't. It really wasn't. I didn't feel like I fit into that family at all. I was a very sensitive child, as many of you are as well. And there was emotional neglect. There wasn't that emotional support and connection there. And, some of our clients go through extremely traumatic experiences and abuse and just things that you couldn't even imagine unless you've been through it. And there's this idea, in learning quantum healing, QHHT, BQH, things like that, um, that the soul chooses its experiences before it comes into the body, that we plan all of this for our own good, for our own expansion. We agree to these experiences. And therefore, in a way, that does take us out of the victim mentality and understanding that we created these experiences for our growth. That is one way to look at it. But I want to offer another idea here. And this is the message that's coming through very strongly. So I'm questioning, why would we have so many traumatic lives? I mean, I've seen lives of my own where I'm just repeating and repeating and repeating the same traumas, of being in abusive relationships. There's just so much trauma, right? Um, And the question is why? Like, if we're supposed to learn from these lives and expand through soul growth, why are we repeating this over and over and over again? And I see it in my clients too. There's just this constant repeat of the same things over and over and over again. And so, with that said, I want to offer a different idea here in that we don't need to keep reincarnating. We don't need to keep reincarnating into physical lives for soul growth because our truest form, our truest spirit is already whole and complete and perfect exactly the way it is. And if you want my honest opinion, it feels to me that these lives are not necessarily expansive for the soul, but that it almost degrades the soul in a way. And I know that's a really strong comment to make. I understand that. But I'm just going to ask you to stick with me for a moment. So in my last video, when I was talking about, this matrix system, if we see this earth as a matrix system, and not only the earth itself, this physical reality that we're in right now, but the higher realms and the afterlife is included in that matrix system as well. It's still within space and time. Like when somebody leaves the body, they don't just lose their personality. They take that energy and all their experiences with them into the afterlife. And what we see in the afterlife is, there's the typical life review where you sit down with your counsel or your guides and you understand why you lived this lifetime, what you could have done better, blah, blah, blah. And or you can view the creation of this life, why you made the choices you did. And a lot of what my clients are saying is that they didn't choose this family. They didn't choose this life. They were tricked into it. And the way this works is when we leave the body and go into the afterlife, into the higher realms, we're usually met with a guide or family members that take us through into these other kind of corridors. And when we're met with these guides, I believe they are a part of this whole reincarnational system. So they will convince us and say something like, you're a really beautiful soul. These two souls here, these set of parents, they really need your help. They really need your help. And I know you're a healer and you could really help them. And so your soft heart is going to say, well, of course I want to help them. Of course, let me incarnate into that family so that I can help them. But what I can tell you is that it never goes the way that you think it's going to go. There is way too much trauma and way too much interference in this world. So, meaning that there's all these other energies at play, right? It's not just the physical life. It's not like you can make a plan and that's exactly how it's going to play out. There's free will involved, free will of all the players, not just your own, but all of the players, right? And then on the spiritual level, there's interference. There's interference by negative ETs, there's interference by archons and what you would call dark force entities. Even earthbound souls can interfere in your life. Let me just gather my thoughts. So what it's looking like is that when we leave this body this time, we do not have to get tricked into coming back in, that we can return to source, that we can return to the true higher realms, because there are the true higher realms, and then there are the fake higher realms. So when we're going into these afterlife experiences, are they a lot better than physicality? Of course they are, because you're freed from the physical vessel, you're freed from the physical body, and now you're just spirit. However, it's still contained within space and time. It's still part of this matrix system. So that's why we're seeing all of these things keep repeating and repeating and repeating, life after life after life. And there's this idea that we grow our soul through this repetition. But I don't think that's true. The message just coming through to me is that that's not true, that we're already whole and complete. And, you know, maybe at some point we choose to come into a physical life for this experience. But what happens is, because the system, the way it's set up here on Earth, is that you kind of get trapped here. And I think that's what's happening for a lot of us now. And we're waking up to the fact that we don't have to continue this, that there is no such thing as karma, that you don't have to keep reincarnating back into this life, these lives, and repeating the same things over and over and over again. I mean, the people that I work with, most of them, if not all, are deeply suffering in one way or another, whether that's physical illness or, you know, mental things, spiritually. It can be really difficult here. And we've seen in our sessions that these kinds of really difficult and traumatic lives can actually degrade the soul, which we've talked about before. And because the soul is not remembering who and what it really is, right? That's the key. If we have the belief that we have to reincarnate back in, then that is what is going to happen. Because the archons rule this matrix system. The archons rule this matrix system, and that's why we get tricked. And the archons can put on any face they want. They can show up as a beautiful angel or a guide or a family member. And they can take on any face they want. And that's one of the things we'll talk about in the next video. As Jesus tells us how the system was created, first he goes through the higher realms, starts with source and then comes down from there. And then we get to Earth and how Earth was created. And the Earth and its system of its afterlife and lower realms were not created by the one true God, but were created by the offspring of Sophia, a being named Yaldabaoth, who was the first archon. And it seems as if the whole Old Testament of the Bible is written about this God. Yaldabaoth is the God of this world. And, you know, whether you want to believe that there are beings that keep us trapped here, or if it's our own belief systems that keep us trapped here, the only way out is to understand that we can get out, like to believe that we can get out, that we don't have to keep recycling here. So we go through the secret gospel of John, Jesus's words to John. And towards the end of it, he tells us, because John asks, you know, what happens to the soul when it leaves the body? You know, and we go through these questions. What happens to the soul? How does it return to the true realm, the one true God? How does it return to source? And he answers all those questions. So I just wanted to make this video kind of as a prologue to that. I think it's really, really important for us. It is long, it's almost 2 hours long, but I think it's extremely valuable to listen to the words and to understand who we are, to understand why Jesus came here into this system. He actually says something like, I'm paraphrasing, about incarnating down into the darkest realms, into the prison of the body, so that he could remind us that we don't have to keep doing this, basically, that we can escape from here, that we can have eternal life. The words he used was eternal rest. So you have the time, even if you don't have the time, I really just recommend that you watch the next video to understand more about how this was all created and how to get out of here and to return to the one true source to achieve eternal rest. Now, if you like physical life and you want to reincarnate, of course, that's always an option. I'm over it. Like, I'm over it. This is my life where my motivation for everything that I do is that I don't want to do this again. I don't want to do this again. It's been so hard. And while, yes, it can be extremely beautiful too. I mean, there are beautifully amazing things about this world. All of the feelings that we get to experience, the love that we have for each other, the connection, um, nature itself, and just the beauty of this earth is incredible. However, there's so much suffering when you look around, right? And maybe we are the volunteers that chose to come in here and into these physical bodies in order to help from the inside out. And maybe when I leave this body, I'm going to be like, no, I want to go back. But at this point, if I know that I don't have to be here, that I do have the possibility of getting out, then maybe I would come back. But the thing is, there's the veil of forgetfulness. And we forget all of the things we did in our past lives. And that's one of the ways that they keep us trapped here, is through that veil of forgetfulness. Sneaky, right? So Jesus actually talks about that in the Gospel of John, about the creation of the veil of forgetfulness. And yeah, it's a really beautiful gospel. I'm not a Bible person, I'm not a Bible scholar, but I was asking the question, and this is how my higher self and my guides bring information to me when I ask the questions. I was asking, what is this place, and how the heck do we get out of here? How do we get out of here? And I was guided to this work. The Secret Gospel of John was um, created, was found, in the Nag Hammadi texts. So they weren't included in the Bible. A lot of these texts weren't included in the Bible. So it's no wonder that these books were kept secret, that weren't included in the sacred text or the Bible, because the church certainly doesn't want us to know that we have a direct connection with the one true God, and that we can get out of this system, this constant reincarnation cycle. Because what they use our energy for is they use our energy for loosh, to, that is food for them. That is food for them. So all of the negative emotions that we create, all of the anger and the fear, especially the fear, they love the fear. And that's what all of this creation is about right now. It's to create fear so they can feed from it. And the way I heard Candace describe it, because she read a book, Robert Monroe was the first to talk about loosh, and how when he would leave his body and travel, he would see it. He saw it like accumulating in pockets around the earth, and these beings will feed off of this. This is food for them. So we need to stop being food for them. And how do we do that? We understand who we are. Jesus says the truth will set you free. The truth of who you are, the truth of this world, and how to set yourself free from it and stop feeding it. That's what's keeping it alive. So take a look at our next video or just read the Gospel of John on your own and listen to the words of Jesus. We can't go by what the leaders of the church tell us, right? We have to listen to the actual words of Jesus because he tells us exactly what's up. So I'll leave you with that. Make sure you check out our next video, like this video, comment down below if you have any questions or comments or anything that you would like to share about this idea of this constant reincarnation. And remember that you are connected with the one true source. You are connected. You have that light within you, that divine spark of light. And that's what will lead you in the right direction, always. I love you guys so much. Thanks for being here with me and for listening. And I'm sending you all of my love. Hang in there. I love you. Bye.